Well, on such a joy-filled day as this, I am drawn to remember the many, many things that I love about being a pastor. But one of the things that I love the most about this ministry is it's really hard to articulate well. I love funerals. I know that's a weird thing to say on Easter, a weird thing to say in general, but I don't love them in the sense that they're just so fun and enjoyable. I don't love them in the sense that I walk down the admin hallway and our parish administrator looks up and says, "Pastor Alex, great news! I've got bad news." It's nothing like that. There's just something holy and sacred about being invited into those moments with families, walking with God's people through their grief and loss. It's holy ground. It's meaningful work. And it's an incredible privilege to be there in that time and space. And I share this today of all days because these moments are such a powerful opportunity to witness to what resurrection means here and now. Because in preparing for a funeral, whether I knew the person well or not, I always try to take time with the family, gathering as many people as would like to be together, and we just tell stories. I'm so privileged to sit there in holy ground as the life and witness of this person is shared in some dim living room, as we laugh together and cry together and remember all that this individual meant to so many people. And after funerals, where I try my hardest to weave together a summary of this person's life with the eternal promises of our God, I have been humbled and honored by kind words from the friends and family who say, "I know that you never met them," or "I know you only saw their twilight years and didn't really know them. But from the things you said, it sure seemed like you did know them." And this is the moment I love, not because of the compliment, but because I have a chance to witness to resurrection and say, I never knew them, but through all the love and memories that have been shared, I feel like I know them now. In that living room, the tomb was empty and they were alive again. So yes, I know them. Yes, we recognize the finality and pain of death, but there is power to the blessed memory that we carry in our hearts for the ones we've loved, and through memory, through love, grief, and stories, we find that the dead have a way of coming to life among us again. Your memory allows us to see the resurrection that your loved one knows. Memories allow us to witness the promise of resurrection dimly, as we comfort one another in knowing that one day we will know this promise face to face. I've had the privilege of getting to know or even meet many people after their death. And I love and treasure this part of my ministry because it reminds me again and again of the truth that we find in Luke's account of the empty tomb today. Memory is the gateway by which we enter resurrection life. Early in the morning, the women hastened to the tomb, compelled by their grief, their duty and honor to bury their friend. They came bearing spices to anoint his body. But they find no Jesus there in his burial place. They find the stone rolled away and messengers there proclaiming wondrous things. And they return to the disciples to tell them what has happened, but they think it an idle tale, the mad ravings of hysteria, as it's more directly translated in Greek. Except for Peter, who rushes to the tomb in hope at their words and finds it just as they said, and he departs in amazement. There are two things that really stand out to me in this story as I reflect on it this year. One is that there is no one right and prescribed way to experience the hope of Easter. The Easter story is one that invites us to come as we are, bring our whole heart to the tomb this day. I pray that the good news of this story that each of us hears is that no matter how you arrive this Easter morning, whether you are steeped in grief, stunned in disbelief, or running in the direction of hope. I pray that you know that resurrection is for you. This story is for you. But the second thing I noticed this year was that there is no Jesus in this story. Did you notice that? Matthew and John note that Jesus was there at the tomb and greet the disciples and call Mary by name, but Luke? No. Luke's account of the resurrection doesn't include Jesus until he appears to those walking along the Emmaus Road later that night. Instead, they find dazzling messengers. Much like those who proclaimed Christ's birth to the shepherds in the field, the women fall in wonder at the appearance of the messengers who ask, "Why do you look for the living among the dead?" Now, I don't really read that as an accusatory question. Oh, you silly followers. What the heck are you small-minded folks doing looking for a living person in this tomb? I don't think it's like that. I read this question a bit more like there's a shared truth among them. Like the messengers and the women know that they should be looking for the living among the dead. Because in the next breath they say, "Remember how he told you while he was still in Galilee that the Son of Man must be handed over to the hands of sinners and be crucified and on the third day rise again." Then they remembered his words. Remember. Memory is the gateway by which we enter resurrection life. As my friend and colleague, Pastor Micah Cray, noted in his commentary on this text, Luke's gospel constantly points to memory as the gateway to faith. Mary treasured all these things and pondered them in her heart. Jesus took a loaf of bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." The thief on the cross says, "Remember me when you come into your kingdom." And now at the empty tomb, memory awakens faith once more. Their grief, their commitment, their duty, their desire to honor their friend compelled them to the tomb. Whatever brings you to the story of Easter and the promise of resurrection, God can work with that. Because as we stand here together, in whatever state we find ourselves, we are invited to remember who God is. In your joy, remember a God who is life and light. In your grief, remember a God who is stronger than death. In your hope, remember a God who restores hope to the lost. In your weakness, remember a God who was humbled on a cross. In your strength, remember a God who shares strength with the lowly. Remember the love that has been proclaimed to you from generation to generation. Remember the love of a parent or grandparent, a stranger or friend who invited you into the promise of God's kingdom being known here and now in this time and place. Remember the songs that stirred your hearts, the prayers that have been wrenched from you, the gentle hand of some presence that was with you as you felt lost, the love that surrounded you in your faithfulness. We gather here in this place week after week to remember what God has done for us and to remember who we are. So remember. Remember the one who was born in a stable, wrapped in cloth and laid in a manger. Remember the one who was blessed by Simeon and Anna in the temple, even as a baby stirring the hopes of the faithful. Remember the one who was baptized in the Jordan as the heavens were torn open and the Spirit descended like a dove. Remember the one who was led into the wilderness, tempted by the devil, and stood firm in his trust in God. Remember the one who declared good news to the poor, release to the captives, sight to the blind, and freedom for the oppressed. Remember the one who healed the sick, cast out demons, and touched the untouchable. Remember the one who ate with tax collectors and sinners, crossing boundaries and breaking bread with the outcast. Remember the one who told stories of seeds and soil, sheep and lost coins, revealing the heart of God. Remember the one who calmed storms, raised the dead, and multiplied loaves to feed the hungry crowds. Remember one who turned his face toward Jerusalem, knowing the cost, but going anyway. Remember the one who taught that greatness comes in serving, not in power. Remember the one who told the story of the Good Samaritan, flipping the script on who is your neighbor. Remember the one who praised the faith of outsiders and welcomed the ones others had written off. Remember the one who broke bread, gave thanks, and gave his body for the life of the world. Remember the one who was betrayed, arrested, denied, and tried. Remember the one who was mocked and beaten, crucified between criminals, and still said, "Father, forgive them." Remember the one who promised paradise to a dying thief. Remember the one who was laid in a tomb and who did not stay there. Remember the one who rose again, met disciples on the road, broke bread with them, and opened their eyes. Remember the one who stood among his friends and said, "Peace be with you." Remember, and you will see resurrection life. We do look to the dead to find the living because they are alive in Christ, and Christ is alive in us. While we were still perishing, Christ poured out his life for us that we might remember him, serve him, and reveal his kingdom in this time and place. Memory brings to life those we have lost and gives us a glimpse of resurrection hope. So this Easter day, let us remember Jesus. No, he's not in the tomb. No, he's not even in this part of the story, but as we remember him, he lives in us. Christ lives forever, and it is our privilege to proclaim his memory in this time and place. No, it seems like there is such a wide gap between grief and hope. But in that messy middle where these things blur, we find that love is the common denominator. Love for those who have gone before us, and love for the future to which God calls us. Christ meets us in the middle, no matter what we bear in our hearts this day. Because Christ is not there in that empty tomb. He is risen. He is with us. He is meeting us along the way and calling us to remember who God is today, has been for all of history, and will be forever. This is God's love. A love stronger than death, a love that inspires hope and peace. And this God is risen today. Alleluia, alleluia. Christ is risen. Alleluia.